Hi, everybody. We have such a fun show this week for you. We cover a multitude of subjects. My favorite one of all is little Chloe called back in from Montana, and her granddad, he was in heaven and he wanted her to bring his wife a daisy. Well, come to find out, there's a big significance with that. We talk about that. We also do past life scans. We talk to somebody's spirit who's just died in a boating accident within the past week. We talk to another person who has a dad who has just passed, and he's giving information to his son who calls in, and then lots of healings as well on a plethora of different ailments. So enjoy the show. It's really a fun one, and let me know what you think. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and be sure and share it with your family and friends. Enjoy. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Ask Julie Ryan Show. I'm so delighted you could join us this week. My intention in doing this show is to provide information, insight, and comfort to people all around the world by helping to answer life's unanswerable questions. We got a whole bunch of callers on hold, so we will get to them in just a minute. Couple of things. First of all, we're working very hard on the Angelic attendant training for Atlanta. We have so many amazing surprises and magical occurrences that are going to happen on top of the woo-woo. So you want to be there. And it's November 3rd through 5th in Atlanta at the Kimpton Hotel, which is adjacent to the Atlanta airport. And also, if you don't want to do the training or can't afford it or whatever, come join us on Friday night, because you can do that separately if you're in the Atlanta area, or if you can get to Atlanta, if you're not too far from Atlanta. Come on and join us, and we're going to do a live show, and it's going to be a blast too. And then that will be followed by a dessert reception. So we have people coming in from all over the country and even Europe, and some from Canada. So I'm really excited. I got lots of hugs for everybody, and it will be a life-changing, life-enhancing experience. So come join us for that. Also, next week on the 19th, on Thursday, the 19th of October, we're going to have a special guest, and her name is Amber Romaniuk, and she is an expert on weight and eating issues and stuff like that. I interviewed her on my show a couple of months ago, and she claims to have lost and regained 1,000 pounds. And I said, how in the heck did you do that? And she said, well, you think about it, you lose 40 pounds, you gain 50, you go up and down over a lot of years, and it's possible. So she's going to be on. We're going to be taking callers' questions live. So next week, all we're going to take is questions about weight and weight issues and how to break eating addictions. I'm a recovering sugar addict, but sugar sober for 4.5 years. Thank you very much. And I still want it, but I just don't eat it. So it's going to be really fun to have Amber on, and you guys are going to want to call in with your eating and your weight issue questions next Thursday, October 19th, 8 p.m. Eastern. So, Chris, let's go ahead and go to the phones and see who our first caller is.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Clay.
Hey, Julie, how are you?
I'm terrific. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm surviving.
Good. Where are you surviving?
Greer, South Carolina.
Oh, wonderful. All right. Well, you got a question for me?
Yeah. So 2 weeks ago, my dad went into the hospital. He was very confused and exhausted. They found a tumor in the middle of his brain pressing on the thalamus. And so we went, they said surgery was risky, but they would do it, except for they sent him home with medication. And unfortunately, he passed a week later. So he passed. Yeah, so he passed away last Wednesday. Not yet, but last Wednesday. And I mean, obviously it's been really hard. Like, I don't even have to say that, but just everything that week with how confused he was and how quickly he went downhill. I mean, he turned so fast, and then just all of a sudden in the blink of an eye he was gone. So I guess like I just need to know, like, did I do everything right in the end? But like, just does he have any message for me? Like it was just so fast. Thankfully I got to take care of him that last week and spend time with him. And so I did, I was there saying goodbye and stuff. So I mean, I don't feel like I have like loose ends with it, but it all happens so fast.
I am so sorry, Clay. Good heavens. And it's bad when somebody gets diagnosed. It's such a shock. And then when they go that quickly, it's just, let's compound it. Oh my goodness. Are you an only child? Was it just you and your dad?
For the majority of my life, yes. He did remarry, I guess about 17 years ago now. And, well, about 16. And he remarried, and my stepmother has a daughter. So with my dad, I have a stepmom and a stepsister as well, but I'm my dad's only child.
Mm-hmm. Are you still living at home? Will you continue to stay at home with your stepmom and your stepsister?
No, none of us live at home. I'm 30, my sister's 32. And we all live on our own now. But we all live within 10 minutes max of each other.
Okay. All right. You do not look 30. I was going to guess 20 at the max. Wow.
Well,
You're drinking from the fountain of youth, buddy. Wow.
yep.
You look great. I would never have guessed that. I bet you get carded a lot when you go into restaurants and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, what's your dad's first name, Clay?
John.
John. All right. He already was talking when you first mentioned him. He's right next to you on your right. Spirits have a frequency, Clay, that they keep throughout all their lifetimes. And in order to get in touch with them, all you have to do is think of them. And that our heads are like big satellite dishes, and you just think of them, and then that tunes your satellite dish head to their frequency. And they come right in. So we'll ask him some questions, and then he'll get chatty. And when you say something to him, Clay, he's gonna answer you. It's gonna be that first thing in your head as fast as you can snap your finger, or before. Sometimes the answer will start coming in before we even have the question thought out all the way. And we think, how does that work? Well, it's because time doesn't exist in the spirit world. Time's a human creation. And so they've got our information. They've got what we're asking or what we're saying before we can even think it out all the way. So what he was saying was everything unfolded perfectly. He didn't want to go through all those treatments, and he didn't want to be a burden to anybody. He's saying all he's seen in people that have gone through cancer treatments, especially brain cancer, is it's just a lot of suffering, and he wasn't interested. So I think that that's pretty easy to understand, that that's what he was.
Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't much for risk. And so, when I would get alone with him, I would say, like, Daddy, are we doing everything you want? Like, is this what you want and stuff? And I've never really felt like I could communicate with spirit, but that week I really felt my dad's presence even before he passed. And the night that the night he really went downhill, they put him on a stroke alert when EMS got there, but they weren't certain it was a stroke. Basically his brain hemorrhaged. And so I was taking care of him and stuff, and the next day when he passed, I remember him, like, when he was healthy, like within like years, he's always said, when I get to my deathbed and everybody knows it's time to go, he would say, let whoever wants to come say bye. And then he would say this exact phrase. He would say, and then leave me the hell alone so that I can pass peacefully and on my own. And so all of a sudden in the hospital, it was just the strangest thing. I was sitting in there with my stepmom and her sister. And all of a sudden I looked at them. I said, y'all, we got to go. Daddy's telling me he's ready to go and he doesn't want us here. He's always said he didn't want us here. There was no doubt. And so the hospital called and they said, minutes after we left, he passed, just a few minutes later. And so I hope I got that right. But really, I guess like what I'm looking for is just any message from him that's like anything.
Yeah, he's saying that for me to remind you that everybody controls, we all control when we go, where we go, how we go, who's with us or not when we go. And critical care, medical personnel, Clay, doctors, nurses, other staff, hospice medical providers, family members, funeral directors, they all have countless stories about how the person who died waited till everybody was out of the room or waited until somebody in particular got there to say goodbye before they transitioned. So he's saying y'all did it perfectly. He said y'all did it perfectly. And he was talking to me as you were mentioning what had happened at the end. He was talking to me about lizards and dinosaurs. Does that mean anything to you?
No, not at all.
All right. Okay. Well, maybe you liked lizards and dinosaurs as a kid or something. Or when spirit gives us information on stuff, they talk in images and words and phrases. And sometimes it doesn't make sense to us right at the moment when we get the information. Sometimes it makes sense a little bit later when we have a minute to think about it. And sometimes it has to do with an event that hasn't occurred yet.
Okay.
So just be open. Doesn't mean that you're going to see a live dinosaur. You might. It's Halloween coming up. You might see somebody in a costume, but be open, Clay, to how you're going to see lizards and dinosaurs. You may see them in costumes. You may see them like lizards in a pet store or something. You may see them in a movie, on an ad, on a piece of jewelry, whatever.
While I can say like we never had anything with lizards and dinosaurs, I was talking to him earlier today and I was like, what's your sign going to be for me? Some people it's butterflies, some people it's cardinals or, whatever. And so in a weird way, I can make it make sense, like what you're saying, because those are such off the wall things in our life together that it would make sense that he would come in the most random way. And then the last thing I'll say before I let you go is really just a thank you. Because the last time I called in, we had the spirit in our house and we were very confused. And you immediately named Martin and said that he was on my mother's side. He was a fifth grade uncle. And I said, well, we have ancestry.com and stuff. We'll go check. I have a Martin who is a fifth grade uncle on my mother's side. And we have toted Martin around everywhere we go now. We constantly talk to Martin, and he doesn't make as many appearances in the house anymore. Though I will say this last week since Daddy died, he has been around again a little bit more visible. Mm-hmm. But I just thought that was so funny and interesting that like I had to take that extra second of your time just to say you've literally got the exact name of the exact person of the exact relation on the exact side of the family. And so just thank you for that. But for anybody who's a skeptic, I can credit that to you. So.
Well, I always say, Clay, you know this. I always say, you can't make this stuff up. It's too wild. But the other thing is, wasn't Martin hanging out in your bathroom or someplace in your house?
He was. So my fiance and I split. We have two bathrooms and we use separate ones because she's a little messy with all of her makeup. And so we so she was in her Martin was in her bathroom. And so we were confused as to like, why her bathroom, and whatever. And you said that, Martin, while he was one of my spirit guides, could often give messages to her, essentially either for me to give to me or just for her to understand something about me better. And so we literally have constantly carted Martin around now. We'll be like, Martin, you coming with? And basically buckle him up in the car because we know Martin's there.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Clay, how far are you from Atlanta?
Maybe 2 hours, maybe 2.5. I was hearing about your
Okay.
Friday.
Yeah, come down, my treat. You and your fiance, my guest, come down and join us, my treat. And just email Rachel at AskJulieRyan.com and tell her that I have invited you as my guest, and you guys come down and join us. It's going to be a blast.
Okay, so just Rachel, Rachel at AskJulieRyan.com.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You email her. I'll send her a note too to be expecting you. So yeah, you guys come down. It's going to be a blast, Clay. It's going to be so much fun. And then we're going to have a reception afterwards. We got a special discount on the rooms if you guys want to spend the night. We're going to have a reception that's going to be lovely after the Ask Julie Ryan Live. But you know how much fun this is on Zoom. Imagine in person. We're going to have a ball. So come join us and be my guest.
You could hear her yell from the back, but she said thank you from the living room. So yeah, we really appreciate that. We love you. We have called you so many times, and we're excited to be there. So we will definitely make it.
Okay. See you there. I got a big hug for you.
Thank you, Julie.
You bet. Thanks for calling. Hello, Miss Hannah.
Hi, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you too. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Where are you?
Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Okay. Good. What you got for me?
So a couple of days ago, I injured my back and I haven't been able to work on the pain at all. So I'm hoping you could give me some insight as to how I can get this fixed and back to normal.
What did you do? What happened?
Well, so I'm a power lifter, and so I'm always lifting heavy weights. And so I have an issue, probably due to an old injury, where my back just gets really compressed. And so I'll do like a kind of like a self-release to decompress it. And I think I just did that too much or with too much force. And like ever since then, it was a couple days ago, it's just been really aggravated.
I'm sorry. Don't you use kettlebells too?
So for powerlifting, we use barbells.
Right. But why am I thinking of kettlebells with you? Did we talk about kettlebells before?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Not even to warm up or anything?
I mean, sometimes to warm up, but I don't remember talking about it before.
Okay. Well, you know, I am psychic, so maybe I just saw you in my mind's eye using kettlebells to warm up. All right. Let me get you on my radar. Here comes my laser beam from Sweet Home, Alabama, heading over to you in Arkansas. All right. Got you. Suey. Go Pigs, right? The Razorbacks.
Oh, yeah. Big deal here.
Yeah. I know. That's the University of Arkansas football team for those of you that aren't as into college football as my family and I are. Okay, got you. So it looks like the left side is the side that is the issue. To me, that's where the energy went first. And it looks like you've got some compression of your vertebrae. You're looking like a twisted sister, my girl. So I'm watching this maneuver where the vertebrae get propped up. And I watched this little device get used, Hannah, that looks like a spacer that a tile mason would use when they're laying tile before they put the grout in after the tile's all been laid. And so that's up. Disc is being put back in. That's going to hold those vertebrae in place. And then there's this little netting that gets put from the upper to the lower vertebrae. And it looks like a goldfish net. And that's going to hold the disc in place. So I'm watching that. You were leaning a little bit to the left. Do you have a chiropractor that you see?
I do. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would go visit them. Go visit
Okay.
your chiropractor and they'll get you straightened out and then you'll heal from there. In the meantime, what I did, Hannah, was apply some anti-inflammatory energy, which is inflammation looks like red fog on body parts. Anti-inflammatory energy is a royal blue color. So that's what's going on there. And I hope that helps. Yeah, you were kind of like the leaning tower of Hannah to the left.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Paul.
Hey, Julie. I'm from Seattle, just
How
outside
are
of
you?
Seattle.
Terrific. How are things up there?
Oh, it's a sunny day today. It was nice to get a little break from the rain.
Oh, good. Well, wonderful. Well, welcome. How
Right.
may
Thanks
I
for having
help
me.
you?
Well, my mother-in-law has been having a terrible time. She's in the hospital right now in Marshall, Michigan. Her name's Jan, and she's had trouble with her kidney and now her heart. And she's
Oh,
coming
no.
up to turning 78 near the end of this year. So just wanted to know if there's any information and also if there's any kind of healing you could send her way or relief from the pain or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Did you say Jan, Jan, or Jen, Jen?
Jan, Jan. Yeah.
Jan, like Janice? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yep.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm going to hook into you first. And then from you, Paul, I'm going to hook into Jan, your mother-in-law. What a sweetie you are. What a nice guy calling about your mother-in-law. My gosh, that's extraordinary. Here we go. Heading out to you in Seattle. Got you ricocheted back to Michigan. Okay, coming in hot, coming in fast. I'm seeing this map of the U.S. and I watch my laser beam go across the states and stuff. It's
Wow,
crazy.
that's cool.
It's like if you look in a flight magazine when they used to have them and they'd have the routes that the Delta or whoever flies, and it'd have these lines, from city to city. So got her shooting energy from her feet up through the top of her head. Jan, I'm talking to Paul. Is it all right if I scan you? She says, oh, by all means. Okay, good. So I have permission from her. Her spirit's in her body. She's not dying at the moment.
Oh, that's great to
that's
hear.
good news.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good news. She's got a lot of inflammation going on. And it's interesting, Paul, because she looks like she has bacterial and viral infections going. Does that make sense? Tell me
it
what's
actually
going
does.
on with her again.
Yeah. That makes sense with her kidney, especially. Yeah. One of her kidneys.
Okay. All right. So bacterial infections, when I see bacterial infections, the energy that's antibiotic energy that gets applied is a fuchsia color, more pink than purple. So I'm watching that be applied. And then on top, that's like the first layer of healing. And then on top of that is I'm watching viral healing. And that's kind of a fluorescent lime green color.
Wow. Okay.
It's just how I know what it is. And it's the healings are being layered. So her immune system's whacked from all these infections.
I can imagine.
And sometimes there are oftentimes secondary infections that can happen, like with pneumonia. It can start out as viral and go into bacterial because all that junk stays in the lungs and somebody's not able to expel it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm seeing going on there. A lot of red, a lot of inflammation. Is your wife back there with her?
No, she's here, but there's a lot of family back there with her. So sisters and my wife's brother. And there's big family around her. So.
Yeah. All right. So, God, just red. So I just keep applying. So imagine the layers. We got the antibiotic energy first, then we got the antiviral energy. Now we've got the inflammation energy on top of it. And that's a royal blue color, Paul. So when you go back and you listen to the show, envision what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And that will, you can help with the healing too. When I see these healings get layered, it reminds me of a million years ago when I was in school probably grade school. And they used overhead projectors a lot back in the day.
Yep.
So there'd be, say there was a transparency of the body, and then they'd lay another transparency maybe of the vascular system on top of that. And then maybe they'd lay another transparency of the skeletal system on top of that. So it looked like a diagram of the body, but it was these different layers of transparencies that were all laid on top of the first one. And that's what these layered healings look like to me. They're very efficient from a time standpoint, and they're very effective. So,
great.
Is she able to communicate? Is she?
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's able to communicate. Yep, she is. And it's been touch and go a little bit though. So I'm just happy to hear that you're able to send some healing and.
Yeah,
but she's pretty angry about it though too. She's kind of very angry about the whole thing. So I guess understandably so. But do you see anything about that? I know I'm not supposed to ask two questions, but she's being a little angry and stubborn and mean.
She's being angry and stubborn and mean to her loved ones, or to everybody that comes in her path.
And they're the caretakers, and just kind of being obstinate a little bit. So,
just being snarky. Yeah. Well, she feels punky, and she doesn't want to be prodded and poked and all of that. So is there something that she wanted to attend that she's not able to do? Like, is there a family event or something that
I'm
she
aware
really
of?
wanted to participate
earlier
in?
this year, there was a game night thing that's supposed to happen, and she really wasn't up to it as much as she'd want to be. So I guess it could be related to that, but it's probably all those things you just said about being poked and prodded and just somewhere she doesn't want to be. Yeah.
Well, and too, Paul, when you're in the hospital, you don't get any rest, because they're in there every 5 minutes, listening to your heart or taking your blood or whatever. It's nuts. And they're doing their job, what they need to do. But boy, nobody gets any rest in the hospital. I'm sure she's exhausted
I can
as
imagine,
much as anything, and just wants them to let her sleep for a while. So see, with the family that's back there, see if they can intervene and ask the medical staff. Is she in the ICU, Paul?
No, she's not. She's not in the ICU, but she's been there for a few nights now. So, and she's gone from hospital to hospital too. So that's probably challenging also. So she's been in, I think over the past week or so, she's been in 3 different hospitals. So that's tough too.
Why?
Well,
Why?
Just going from a smaller hospital to a little bit bigger hospital, and then ultimately a bigger hospital, and then back to a little bit smaller hospital. It's this whole thing. So, rural Michigan, I guess that's how it is.
Yeah. We'd be cranky too if we were in that boat.
Yeah, I think you're right. I know I would.
Yeah. No. Well, I hope she feels better soon. I think she's going to recover. She's going to get better.
Okay.
She'll recover. I'm not seeing any of the phases of transition. Her spirit's in her body.
Great.
So this is this is a blip on the radar screen.
All right. Well, thanks, Julie. Much appreciated. Thanks for everything you do.
Thanks for calling. You bet. We do this show every Thursday night at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, and 5 Pacific. To join, just go to AskJulieRyanShow.com and we'll get you right in, and you can ask your question. It's so much fun to see who's calling in and what their questions are and what Spirit has to say as an answer. This information about the show is available on my website, AskJulieRyan.com. It's available anywhere you download podcasts. We're on all the networks. We're also on YouTube. We're on Alexa. We're on what else? Audible. Like all those channels. So you can find the information in the show notes. And we post a note every day of the show every Thursday. And we say, hey, it's Thursday. If you got a question, remember to call in. And that's on all my social media. We're on all the social media channels too. Everything's at Ask Julie Ryan. So look there. And then we also send out a newsletter. That's my blog. And that's something that somebody has submitted as a question online, because usually they can't call into the show because they're working or they got little kids or something like that. And then I'll choose one each week and answer it. So that's kind of fun too. Let's see what else. You can schedule an appointment with me at AskJulieRyan.com. I'm booked out a little bit, but you know the drill. Get on my calendar. That's the most important thing, because when you're on my calendar, you're going to get a confirmation email, and it's going to have a link in it that'll say reschedule. If you click on that periodically, it will show dates and times that are available, and oftentimes you can get in really quickly. So I have people every week that are scheduled out a ways, and they get in within a day or two or a week, and they're so excited, and it works great. So give that a try too. You know, the training, Angelic Attendant Training, Atlanta, come join us. Come join us and Clay and everybody else that's coming in. I have a bunch of graduates that are coming in too, just because they want to be there. And I'm telling you guys, it's going to be amazing. So we're going to take people who want to come down to the last minute. Everybody's welcome. Come on. AskJulieRyan.com/training, and you'll get all the information. Okay, this week, our call comes from Louise, and Louise lives in Bothell, Washington. And she says, "Hi, Julie. I listened to a recent interview with you and Alex Ferrari and then bought your book, which I'm 50-ish pages into. Easy for me to say. You say the dying person's mother, father, angels, spirit guides of family members, etc., show up and surround the person just prior to their transition. I'm curious why I've never heard this reported from the countless near-death experiencers, also known as NDE, that I've heard over many years on TV shows, in books, interviews, at IANS meetings, etc. IANS, I think, stands for the International Association of Near-Death Studies. And that's an organization that people who've had near-death experiences, they are involved with that a lot of the time. And then she closed with, "Thanks for your thoughts, Louise." So here's my response. "Hi, Louise. What a great question. It's been my experience that we're all surrounded by angels and the spirits of deceased loved ones and pets as we're at the end of our lives. And that's what I describe in my Angelic Attendants, what really happens as we transition from this life into the next book. I call this series of events the 12 phases of transition. And it occurs with everyone, regardless of whether a person's death is instant, like in the case of a homicide or suicide, or whether it's prolonged over days, weeks, months, or even years. The 12 phases adds a glorious component to what can often be described as a heart-wrenching experience, losing a loved one. All of us who've been through that, we know it's just heart-wrenching to lose somebody that's close to you. I went on to say in his book, Death is But a Dream, Christopher Kerr, MD, PhD, discusses his university-based research in which 90% of patients saw deceased loved ones and pets either in dreams or visions as they were dying. And critical care medical providers, hospice personnel, as well as funeral directors, family members, and others report the same. That's what I was just talking about with Clay earlier, that it's just our deceased loved ones are around us and our pets and all of that. I had a gal today who, when I was talking with her, we were talking about her mother who's in phase 11 of 12. She's ready to go on to heaven. And this client of mine was hoping that the mom would wait till she could fly in, which I think she will. But anyways, I told her, I said, there are a whole bunch of spirits in the room, and one of them is a horse and one of them's a collie, and they're front and center in the pet, I call it the dog pound, the pet area. And she said, well, the horse's name's Johnny and the dog's name was Boy. I said, well, there you go. That I'm telling you, we see these animals that people know who they are when we describe them to them. So I digress. Let's go back. So you ask, why don't people experience an NDE see the same configuration as the dying? After all, they too are experiencing a form of death, temporary as it is. Well, perhaps the 12 phases of transition are reserved for those who are actually dying. Perhaps it's just an experience, I have in all caps, of an aspect of death the NDE shows the person. And perhaps the NDE is simply intended to broaden a person's understanding of the afterlife and spirit world and enhance the rest of their human lives. I believe my explanations are all certainly feasible. We're going to know for sure when we get to heaven, right? And that's how I closed. Guess we'll know for sure once we get to heaven. So that's what I believe, is that the near-death experience is kind of like going on a roller coaster ride for the first time. Well, that gives you an experience where you think you might die going up and down those hills, but you don't. And when you come off, you have broadened your experiences because you've done it. And then in the future, you can make decisions whether you want to ride another roller coaster or not. So I think it's very different. The near-death experiences and the interesting thing about those is that people have common experiences regardless of culture, education level, socioeconomic level, country, nationality, whatever, religion or non-religion. They have similar experiences. And I believe those are, in some ways, interestingly connected to the death experience, the dying experience. In the vortex thing, a lot of NDEers report going through a funnel or a vortex. I see that when somebody's dying and at the end of their life. But other than that, I think it's a totally different experience. So let me know what you think in the comments about those answers and also the questions that are raised. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Hello, Angie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm terrific. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm calling from sunny Phoenix, Arizona. I had to remember where I was.
Oh gosh. Well, you look like you got the Golden Gate Bridge behind you. So I was going to ask if you were in San Francisco.
Right, I know. I just put that as a background for today. So
it looks great. I drove over that a couple months ago. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So my question today, last weekend, I had a very good friend of mine pass away suddenly in a kind of freak accident. We'd been out boating and they were a couple boats behind us coming out of the lake. And there was some negligence that went on, but he was on the front of the boat, standing on the trailer as it was coming up. And the person driving was going too fast and he ended up falling off and getting run over by his trailer and dying. And my question really is to find out my belief, I believe he passed quickly and peacefully, but I know his girlfriend is really struggling, and if there's anything he can say to her to maybe help ease her pain. I wanted to get her on the call today, but I was not able to get her here with me, but she's really, really struggling because she was in the truck when this happened, and there's a lot to it, but it was just very freak tragic. We were with him 1 minute, the next minute he's gone, and so it just is one of those things. We're all trying as friends trying to deal with it, and anything that you can share with me. His name is Glenn. Was a wonderful man. So I'm hoping that he has something that he can share, at least with her, to comfort her.
Oh, I'm so sorry. What's your friend's, it was his wife, his fiance?
It was his girlfriend. They were just talking about getting married. Her name is JoJo or Johanna.
Okay. So JoJo. So he's right next to you on your right. When we talk about him, they all come in. The first thing that I was hearing was have her, or you can do this for her, go to julieryangift.com, julieryangift.com, and just say, hey, you called into the show and all of that, and we will send her a free copy of Angelic Attendants.
Okay.
So that we'll send her the digital and the audiobook version so she can listen to it, and that will hopefully help comfort her.
Awesome.
What I was talking about earlier with the angels in the gal who called who sent in the question this week that was chosen, he was surrounded by angels and the spirits of deceased loved ones and the spirits of deceased pets, and it was glorious. And that happens, as I mentioned in my answer to her, it happens instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Glenn's case, it can happen over days, weeks, months. So hopefully that will give her some peace too, that she knows that he was surrounded by angels and deceased loved ones. So Glenn, what can you, okay, he's showing me a white lily. Imagine a lily, and it's got the stamen in it. Almost looks like an Easter lily, but not that big.
Okay.
But you'll see them in arrangements. I'm not sure what they're called. A florist will know what they're called. It's not the stargazer ones with the pink in them.
Right.
I know those because I think the smell is terrible. So I always tell them when they're making arrangements, florists, I go, don't put any of those stinky lilies in there.
Right.
And they laugh because they know what I'm talking about. But this is a pure white lily. I would look up what that means.
Okay.
There's a significance to that. The Victorians especially had a significance to all the flowers that we know of. And back in the pre-20th century, before the 1900s, they would give certain flowers to mean certain sentiments. So he's showing me a bouquet of white lilies, like just holding it in his hand, a bouquet of white lilies. So he's wanting you to either give those to her or send those to her from him. But he's asking you to look up the significance of that.
I'll do that.
So that's number one. Glenn, what else do you want JoJo to know? He's around her. She can communicate with him. You've heard me say, just think of him. He comes right in. She can say something to him. Is she in touch with his family?
No, I don't believe so, because they were kind of estranged. I don't know that they cared for her much, but I know his family is also going through a lot because I've spoken with his mom. So I know, and he was very, very close with his family, but they had recently gone through a breakup and they were getting back together. So I don't know that the family knew that part yet. And so this, it's kind of bad timing.
Okay. So he's saying if you can help facilitate her being in touch with the family, I mean, he's talking to you as much as he is to her, that's going to help console all of them.
Okay. Yeah. And I was,
and that, do you know his family?
I don't. I've been chatting with his mom via text, and I spoke with her the night it happened because the officers had asked me to reach out to her, and so I did speak to her, and I've been texting with her and, offered any support I can give her. And she did just tell me when the service is going to be. So I'm planning on being there and offered my support there as well. And I was planning on taking JoJo with me just so she had support as well. And hopefully we can facilitate something with his family.
So he's saying get in touch with his mom. He's asking you to get in touch with his mom before the service.
Okay.
And let her know that he and JoJo had reconciled and that they were getting back together and they were talking about getting married, and that he wants, I don't know how you present this to his mom. I don't know if his mom believes in being able to talk to deceased loved ones, but present to his mom that he wants JoJo to be part of everything, part of the family thing, because he really loved her, is what he's saying. He still loves her. He'll always love her. And that's going to help all of them heal, is if they can be together. He's also asking you to convey to his mom, and he's laughing. He's going, however you see fit, however you want to present that to his mom. Give his mom one of my books too, which will help. One of the Angelic Attendants books. But he's saying, talk to his mom about welcoming JoJo and being in touch with JoJo, because that will be a piece of him when he's in touch with her. How sweet is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm getting it's more on the mom's side where the resistance is than on JoJo's side.
Yeah. And I think that's mainly because of, what had transpired previously to them getting back together. And most likely because she loves her son so much that she was being protective of him. There's always two sides, and the parents are always going to side with their child, right? And so I think that it more has to do with that than her just disliking her as a person. I think she was just protective of her son more than anything.
Right. Being a mama bear. So he's talking about that you can help facilitate that, and he appreciates you doing that. And he says you're going to get extra stars in your crown for helping facilitate that. Do you have a crown already with stars in it?
No.
He's laughing. He's going, of course she does. She absolutely does. He says that it's waiting for you whenever, you want to come. He's saying in 100 years or so. Yeah. He was a character, wasn't he?
Yes, he definitely is a character, 100%.
Yeah, I could tell. Yeah, he's got this, smirk, like just really funny, fun-loving, teasing kind of guy. Like he, if he really likes you, he's going to tease you.
100%. That's why for everyone, it was so shocking when this happened. It was like, wait, what? So, but my belief and what I've shared with JoJo is that he was ready at that time. It wouldn't have happened if he couldn't have, you know what I mean? Like, yes, everyone was there to help him through. And I know he wouldn't want anyone to be sad because he is good. You know what I mean? So that's what I've been sharing here.
He's reminding me to talk about the waves of the ocean. Since you have the ocean behind you as your backdrop, think of grief as like waves of the ocean. In the ocean, as in all of nature and in everything, we have calm, disruption, repair. And think about waves of the ocean in terms of that's how grief feels. You've got calm, and the ocean's calm, and then the waves come crashing in and it hurts. It's really strong. If it's high tide and there's a storm coming and you're out there and the waves are crashing in, they can knock you over like grief can. And then when you're in the middle of it, just remember that those waves are always going to go back out. The waves come crashing in and then they recede and it goes back to being calm. And then what happens? Another wave's going to come in. And that's how grief is. And then eventually you go into low tide and it's not as just prevalent and difficult as it is right now. He's saying JoJo has a wonderful life ahead of her and that she will move on and she will be fine. And he really appreciates your extra TLC with her.
Yeah. I'll definitely share this podcast with her and your book and stuff. I think for both him and his mom, that will be really important for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And they can talk to him anytime. Just say something to them. Just teach them. That's the first thing that comes into their head as fast as they can snap their fingers or even before. So you're a sweetie to call in and get this information for JoJo and for his family.
Thank you. Well, I care about all of them. So it was important.
Obviously.
So thank you so much.
You are most welcome. Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, Chloe.
Hi, Julie.
How are you, my girl?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks. How's your grandmother?
She's doing great. She's doing good. My sister's with her right now. So I think that helps.
Wonderful. Everybody, Chloe called in like in the past month?
A couple weeks ago.
And your grandpa died and your grandmother was distraught because she had just enrolled him in a care facility and he died the night that he arrived, right?
Yes.
And Grandpa said for you to take her a daisy. Do you remember that?
Yeah. And I looked up the significance of the daisy, and it was like joyfulness and innocence. And that's definitely his personality. And I think it also said like new life, like he wanted her to have a new life.
Well, I got one even better than that for you, girl, because if you go on my YouTube channel, Ask Julie Ryan, somebody the next morning, like within 10 minutes of us releasing that show, wrote in the comment section and she said her granddad is talking about the old song, Bring Her a Daisy a Day, Dear. And I looked at
Oh, yeah, that would make sense too.
And it was released in the 1950s, like 50 years ago. It was released, I think, in the 70s. And it was a country song. So it was real twangy, like, I'll bring you a daisy a day, dear. But I found a guy who's an Irish tenor who sings it. And the story, Chloe, I'm so glad you called back in because I've been so eager to tell you this. The story in the song, look up the song, do a YouTube on it, is that this couple is so crazy about each other, and he brings her a daisy a day. And he says, I'll bring you a daisy a day, dear. I'll bring you a daisy a day. So then the song goes on and the lyrics talk about the wife has died and the townspeople see the man walking through the town holding a daisy. He's still bringing her a daisy a day, dear. And he's putting it on her grave.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And I thought, you'll have to ask your grandmother if she knew that song. And I thought, there's a chance that those two sang that song or remember it from when it was released.
Well, that does sound like that. Like, I feel like I've heard the song before, and it seems like something that they would have known for sure. They were definitely, like, my grandma has sung to me my whole childhood. So has my grandpa. So that definitely resonates that it could be a song reference.
Yeah. Did they like country music?
I'm not sure. Like, they liked just a variety of music. So
yeah,
but a lot of like classic older music for sure.
And I saw that Glenn Campbell even sang this song, and he used to have a TV show about that time. So I'll bet if you look it up, that song was sung on some TV shows. So they were familiar with that song. I just thought that was so touching. And I thought it was really cool, Chloe, because you're asking me, a stranger, right? We're talking to your granddad who's in spirit. And so we're giving you information to give to your grandmother from your grandfather. And then somebody that neither of us know is making a comment on my YouTube channel and sending us to this song. And then I listened to the song and I'm thinking, oh, for heaven's sakes. I mean, this is how perfect is this? And here you are calling back in. No coincidences in life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
right. No, I love your show.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for calling in. Great. Tell everybody where you are.
I'm in Helena, Montana.
Okay. Got a question for me?
Yeah. So I was actually calling because my husband and I have been trying to get pregnant for a while. I do have this little one. But we are about to start. This is Lila.
Hi, Lila.
But we have recently, in the last couple of months, we've done 2 IUI cycles that have failed, and so we're gonna move on to IVF. But I'm just calling to see if there's anything that I can do in the meantime to try to help facilitate getting pregnant. I do have endometriosis. You've scanned me in the past, and I've done a lot, like diet change, and I take a lot of different supplements. But yeah, I think we've been trying now for almost 2 years.
Okay. All right. How old is Princess Lila?
She's 7.
7. Oh my. You're beautiful like your mama. Okay. All right. Let me get you on my radar. You have 2 baby spirits over your shoulder, over your left shoulder. They look like little orbs. They're not twins. They are stacked out like planes coming into land with their landing lights on, and you can see them stacked out in the distance. So you have 2 baby spirits attached to your energy field. That happens sometimes many years before they incarnate. And so they look like little bubbles, those little orbs that you'll see in a picture, like a family picture or something.
Okay.
That's what they look like. So those babies are there. One's a boy, one's a girl. boys in first. Just saying. And so let me go in and check. Look at her. Lila's laughing. She's like, I don't want a brother. Yeah.
Yeah, she's so cute.
She'd rather have a sister, probably. Okay.
No, brother.
You want a brother? Okay. Yeah. He won't use your. So let me go look at your girly parts, see what's going on with that. I'm in there. Okay. Laser in the endo out of the inside. You got endo outside of your uterus too. It's on your ovaries and stuff. Yeah. Right? That's what they're finding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last time, I had surgery in June of 2022, and my uterus was fused to my bowels.
Yeah, lovely. Oh, God bless you. Okay. So I'm removing scar tissue too. The endos has grown back, some of it. So I love to laser stuff and healings because it makes me feel like Princess Leia with a lightsaber. So I'm just in there blasting that endo and getting it from around your ovaries. So you got plenty of viable eggs. How young are you?
23.
Oh, yeah, you got plenty of viable eggs. All right. They look like blonde caviar to me, Chloe, when they're in the ovaries. So you got plenty of eggs. All right. Left side's getting ready to ovulate right now. So will the IVF be successful? I get a yes. Yeah.
Do you get that I'll get pregnant naturally, or do you think I will need IVF?
When I ask, will IVF help, I get a yes. So whether that means that from a mindset, you're kind of relaxing and thinking, okay, yeah, it's very common that women do IVF and then they stop and then they get pregnant on their own or whatever. The two pieces of advice I have for you is get a hold of a book called The Better Baby Book by Dave Asprey and Lana Asprey, MD. She restored her fertility. And so pay attention to what she talks about in that. And then the other thing that's coming in for you, Chloe, is be spontaneous and don't make your husband feel like a lab rat. Because women oftentimes will say, okay, honey, I'm ovulating. We got to go, we got to go make a baby. We got to go right now. And the husbands are just like, oh, for heaven's sakes, really? It's so much pressure on them.
Yeah.
So do your best to, just have fun with it, do that kind of stuff and avoid feeling like you're in a lab and, it's sterile and you got to do it at this time and you got to do it this way. And all that stuff that they have you doing, testing your temperature and all that other jazz. So do your best to avoid you feeling like a lab rat and having your husband feel like a lab rat.
Yeah. I mean, that does resonate a lot because that's 100% what I've been doing for like the last 18 months. And I don't think about anything else.
Yeah.
So I was already planning on doing that, like this cycle, just not tracking and all of the stuff I've been doing.
Well, yeah, because you get obsessed with it. And you're not alone in that. A lot of women do. And so I always say, make sure that you don't treat your husband like a lab rat. And they know exactly what I'm talking about because all of them are doing it. Okay. Well, let us know. Let us know. Okay. Thanks for calling. You bet.
Yeah.
Give your grandmother our love and ask her about that Daisy a Day Dear song.
I will for sure. I'll comment under the YouTube so you can see what she says.
That'd be good. I'd love that. Thanks, Chloe.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye, Julie.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, Julie.
How are you, my girl?
I'm great. I'm calling in from Chicago.
Oh, great. How are things up there?
Things are great. Still a little bit chilly, but it's been pretty good weather so far.
I was there, I think, not quite a month ago. And I was visiting my brother and sister-in-law, and I said, yeah, I brought you some good weather from Sweet Home, Alabama. And they said, we appreciate that. So, yeah, it was just gorgeous when I was up there. Just starting to get a few leaves turning colors. Just
Right.
absolutely, the very beginning of that. So you probably have more of that now.
Yes. do. Definitely.
Terrific. Well, you got a question for me?
Yes, I do. I have a question on behalf of my husband who is very close to his aunt, and he just got home and I told him we'd love your show and listen to it regularly. And he has been really concerned about his aunt. She has endometrial cancer. She's 82 years old, lives in Bradenton, Florida, and was diagnosed April of 2021 and received one treatment of chemo. And since that time, she has thrived, yet on the flip side, gone through what he believes is the first stages of dementia. And what's concerning for him is he's in charge of all of her finances. She's forgetting to pay bills. She's doing all these other things. So it's just such a mystery, I guess, for all of us, because she was this super bright person who, had everything going. And then from the time of her diagnosis, we thought that would be it. And she, we honored her decision not to do the chemo. And she had the hysterectomy, and it's been 2 years. She's still eating, she's functioning, she's fine, but now her mind's going. So it's gone from down below to her head. And it's been over 2 years. So my question is, what phases of the transition do you believe she's in right now?
Okay. And she may not be in any of them. But the thought that's coming into my head right off the top is that the dementia stuff coming in and the memory issues are from the chemo.
Just one treatment?
Which is not uncommon. Yeah. Yeah, that stuff's poison. I mean, it's like,
wow.
I know several people that have had either that experience themselves or their loved ones have. And that's what they do. That's just the standard of care, is they're trying to poison the cancer, but there's all these side effects to it as well. So let me get her on my radar. What's her first name, Karen?
Her name is Janice, and she's 82 years old.
Okay, and she's in Bradenton. I know where that is, in Florida. All right, so I'm going to hook into you in Chicago, and then it's going to ricochet back to Florida. Okay, laser beam heading your way, girl. All right, got you. Coming back east, southeast, making a curve. All right, going in. Janice, I'm talking to Karen. What's your husband's name?
Jack.
First name? Jack. I'm talking to Jack's wife, Karen. And she wants me to scan you energetically. Is that okay? She's saying yes. She's not in any of the phases. She's not dying at the moment. She's not transitioning at all. Her spirit's very much in her body. So let's go up in her brain. Brain matter, Karen, my analogies are hilarious at times, but that is honest to God how I see things in my mind's eye. And as I've mentioned before, spirit communicates in symbols and in phrases and words. So brain matter looks to me like thick cooked oatmeal, the kind you get at a breakfast buffet where it's been cooking all night and it's really thick. And scar tissue in the brain looks like chicken cartilage, that white flexible stuff, chicken breast with the bone in. So imagine we're scooping out that scar tissue out of her brain. And when I see scar tissue in somebody's brain, Karen, it can occlude neural pathways. And that's what dementia looks like. That's what scar tissue from concussions and other illnesses and things like that. That's how it appears to me. So I scoop it out, and it can occlude those neural pathways and cause memory problems and other mental issues. And by removing it, it leaves a divot. Imagine if you took a big spoonful of oatmeal, it's going to leave a divot in that thick oatmeal, right? Stem cell energy is filling that divot. Light amber colored gel, sparkles, because it's woo-woo, gotta have sparkles. And it has a watery consistency to it. So it reminds me of Dippity-Doo hair gel back in the 60s and 70s. You're too young to remember that, but when I was a kid, that's what it reminds me of. So that's filling those divots. And then there's a vortex spinning above each area where it's been filled. Do you know if she's on a statin?
No, she's not.
Good.
She's not on any medication, nothing.
Good. That's great. Okay. So where all those vortices are spinning over those stem cell energy, where they were filled, those divots were filled where we removed the scar tissue, that's generating new brain matter. And then once it's done, then all those neural pathways are going to light up. And so I'm watching that in my mind's eye, and I'm talking to you, and I'm getting divine downloads into my head. So good thing we're girls, because we can multitask. It's one of our superpowers as women. You know I'm right on that. So, all right, all those neural pathways lit up. Karen, they look like laser beams in a museum as part of the security system that crisscrossed the room, guarding the paintings and artifacts and statuary. And so those are all lit up now. Have you ever seen a movie where some thief is trying to steal a jewel or a painting or something, and they have to step over the laser beams and crawl under the laser beams to keep from getting caught? That's what this reminds me of. That's what the neural pathways in the brain look like. Hers are all lit up, so she may surprise you all with that. Yeah, she's not dying.
So she's doing okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that is really good news. I mean, because she refused. They said she was stage 3, maybe 4, and it was really bad. And then she had one treatment. She said, I'm done. Whatever happens, happens. And then she sleeps a lot. And he's really concerned about that because she's constantly sleeping. But other than that, I mean, she hasn't lost that much weight, which is pretty common when you go, if you have cancer and they say it's, very aggressive, you don't have an appetite. And it seems that since she stopped the chemo, that one treatment, she's fine.
Yeah. Well, and the chemo is prophylactic too. The endometrial cancer, they removed it. And yeah, she had some metastasis, it sounds like, if she was in stage 3. But the body has a tremendous capacity to heal. And so does she still have cancer? I get yes, but I don't get that it's not causing.
Won't go to a doctor.
Well,
so we don't know. That's why.
But that's okay. Look at how well it served her. She just wants to be happy, healthy, dead. That's kind of my motto too. Yeah, but
just doing life.
Do you guys have? Are you her main relatives and her main?
My husband is, and that's why I see the stress on him. I see he's been down there every 3 months. She's mentally declined.
Yeah.
Yet physically, he'll take her to a restaurant, and even though she's not making a lot of sense half the time, her appetite's fine. So it was sort of like a flip from the cancer now to this dementia.
Mm-hmm. And what I'm getting...
But she won't go to a doctor, so we don't even know if it's dementia.
Well,
I'm just saying dementia.
What I'm getting is, and you guys, I'm sure, have some kind of plans in place to, if she can't live by herself, either bring her to Chicago or whatever, it's going to need be. That's what I'm getting, is just be sure that you have a plan in place that you can execute if need be. And everything's all lined up. So I hope that helps.
And his mother. Thank you. His mother is a few years older, and she's just withered down to nothing and is very dependent on her sister, his aunt. And so that's another concern for him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been tough.
It's a lot on your plate and his plate. That's what I'm getting. Have the plans in place, and if you need to execute quickly, those are ready to go. So I hope that helps.
Sounds good. Yeah, that helped. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Actually, good news.
Thanks for calling in. All right, everybody, that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us. Come join us in Atlanta. Come meet me in Atlanta. And sending you lots of love from Sweet Home, Alabama. Mwah. Remember, Amber's on next week, so call in with your weight issue questions. Take care, everybody. See you soon.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to follow Julie on Instagram and YouTube at Ask Julie Ryan, and like her on Facebook at Ask Julie Ryan. To schedule an appointment or submit a question, please visit AskJulieRyan.com.
This show is for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be medical, psychological, financial, or legal advice. Please contact a licensed professional. The Ask Julie Ryan Show, Julie Ryan and all parties involved in producing, recording, and distributing it assume no responsibility for listeners' actions based on any information heard on this or any Ask Julie Ryan shows or podcasts.